I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and we're starting our stream maybe without technical difficulties this time. Alrighty, so a lot of stuff to talk about. The Alexey Carcassonne channel subscribers tournament is starting in 10 minutes, but before that, remember the puzzle challenge about the maximum number of field points that you can score in Carcassonne. And I got way more responses than I thought I would. So I didn't think this fully through. Turns out that many of you actually figured out not only really high scores, but also figured out the absolute maximum, how many points it is possible to score, how many field points it is possible to score in Carcassonne. So I've received many submissions. I'll try to give a shout out to everybody, but we'll first of all just go through the ones that you sent that had the maximum possible number of points, and that is, 126. So the first one is from Andre. You see there like these two huge farms, and then there's these little 6-point farm over here, little 6-point farm up top, and the triple city extenders are used to score these little 2-point farms, and in total there are 16 cities, and it adds up to 142 points. Actually, that was the key to the solution of this problem, is realizing that they are 16, that there are actually 16 cities possible, and not more than that. The next solution comes from Hogney, and you see also just very big fields with a couple of city caps, with these 4-point cities, and also 3 meeples on the right in between 2 huge cities, very non-claustrophobic meeples, and also with the with the double city, with the extender, making a small farms like this, and it all actually adds up to 42 cities in total, or like 16 cities, but they're scored multiple times. And as a result, you get 126 points. Then also Marco's solution with my favorite yellow meeples. So that was the first one that also got 126 points, but with a different strategy. Because in most solutions that I got, there were these like 2 big fields or 1 big field that actually scored twice. But here you see we have a field with 5 cities, a field with 5 cities, and then another one, of course, a farmer that touches everything, like on the right, and then at the bottom, up top, and then at the bottom, this farmer on the left just spans everything. So a more like balanced solution that adds to 126 points as well. And now next one, also of course 126 by Matt. And this one, you see, has nice symmetry over here with 3 medium-sized fields, and actually 1 super huge, well, actually 2 medium-sized fields and 1 super huge field with the central meeple that actually spans all the city, because it's this guy in the middle. I'm not even sure if I'm sharing my mouse pointer at this point. I was saying that I was almost devoid of technical difficulties when starting the stream, and almost is the key word. Yeah, and you see this guy in the middle is actually touching all the cities. And then the next one is also, of course, 126 submitted by Nick. As you see, 4 tightly knit claustrophobic meeples together, kind of taking advantage of these mini fields between the triple cities with the road, and of course a gigantic field, well, actually 2 gigantic fields with lots of cities with city caps, with 2 city caps for the maximum possible number of points. Next one is by Pyro. So like vertically oriented. You see a big cluster of meeples again. So many of you realized how it's possible to use the tube-shaped extenders to create small fields for 2 points. That's actually something that I had missed myself. So the solution that I found was 117 points. I didn't really find 126. But yeah, that's why there are these 2 city farms that are created. And also you see 2 city farms created on top by using these flower-shaped cities with 4 Dorito tiles. Next one also actually drawn by Craft Giraffe. Oops, I just realized that I think I forgot to flip it horizontally. I got the wrong orientation. I guess maybe I can just fix it now. Nope, it will take a bit too long. But I mean, it's just the numbers that are flipped because it doesn't really change the solution. So you see 5 monasteries, obviously on meeple, just to use for the connection, so that the big left city is in multiple fields. And then there are multiple medium-sized fields, and here the 3 vertical splitter tiles are used to create these 4 and 5 city fields. So it was fun to see that actually there's so many different ways of doing this. So for example, here is this one by tungsten dioxide. Why is it so big? I don't think it has to be this big. Okay, I'm going to just try and make it smaller so that I can fit in the screen. And here also like 2 very, very big fields that encompass all 16 cities. And then there was a question of how you make, how you deploy the remaining 5 meeples to make 2 city farms rather than 1 city farm. And here's the solution, that you just use the splitter tiles on the right to create this sort of symmetry here. And another drawn solution here by Self-Evident, with the stars representing meeples, so also 2 flower cities, but also actually the only solution that takes advantage of all Dorito tiles, so that the city, the 8-point city on the right and the 8-point city on the left, they can be used as part of 3 fields. And this also, well, you can check even with this armored fields over here with actually 3 squares and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cities, so 24 points, quite efficient use of space here. They also amount to 126 points. And because I didn't really think this through, I didn't really think that I would have so many submissions, I didn't think of a tiebreaker in advance. So I had various options. I could either go with the timestamp, so that, you know, will be, you know, whoever actually sent the 126 points first, they would be the winner of the challenge. But then I thought it wouldn't be exactly fair, because I have viewers from pretty much all possible time zones, I guess, except the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Well, maybe we can have some viewers in Hawaii. I don't know, but so then I also thought we could do a random draw, which would be fair, but I guess wouldn't be that interesting. So I just decided to go subjectively by aesthetics. And now, I mean, I liked quite a few of those, actually. They were quite beautiful. But also a few of you went the extra mile and actually tried to prove that it's not possible to do more than 126 points, and I received sort of multiple proofs with both with logic and with illustrations. And there are 2 parts to this proof, right? First of all, you gotta show that you can only have 16 cities, and several of you did that. So you can have you have 23 city cap tiles, and you have, as a result of that, 28 city caps, because some of the city cap tiles are splitters. So 28 city caps you can organize into 14 cities, and then the two remaining cities come from the Dorito tiles. So there you need 4 triangle tiles to make a city, and as a result, four triangles to make a city. Why did I lose my train of thought? Oh yeah, and there's these 2 extra cities. So the tournament is about to start. I'm going to maybe join the tournament in a couple of minutes, so let the players make their opening moves. I just wanted to talk about the winning submission, because actually, Ilya from Belarus went the extra mile, like in addition to his a solution of 120 points that you see over here, actually made a whole formal proof of why it's not possible using graph theory. And the proof is interesting. I'd like to talk through a couple of minutes of it. I will also drop a link in the chat that the proof is in Russian, but you can translate it, and you know, it's mostly the illustrations that matter. So the idea is that you can interpret these scoring relations from a meeple to a city as an edge of a graph, and each meeple and city would be the nodes of a graph. So then as a result, you have 7 meeples and 16 cities, so you have a planar graph with 23 nodes. And there are a couple of theorems. So there's the Euler's theorem, which I did not know before, of course, which shows the relation between the number of edges, vertices, and faces of any graph. And then from there we get another statement showing the relationship between just edges and vertices of any graph. So this limitation of the number of edges being not being less or greater than the number of vertices minus 2 times 2. So this entity over here. And as a result, what we get is simply, if we know that there are 23 nodes, which is like the number of meeples plus the number of cities, then we just kind of put 23 in the formula, and we get, 46 minus 4, 42. 42 mostly city scoring relations, which is 42 times 3, 126 points. I had to kind of gloss over it because we're now going to the most interesting part, but you can look at that. The link is in the chat. Now we're going to actually go and look at the most important part, the tournament. But yeah, congratulations to Ilya, who gets this Carcassonne set, and thank you very much for everybody who participating, both for those of you who sent 126 point stuff, and and even there were like several solutions that claimed close to 126 points as well. They were really fun to watch. Alrighty, so games are starting. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and follow I'm going to try and follow everybody's games roughly equal. I'm going to start with top tables. I'm going to finish with top tables. But I'm gonna try and highlight everybody's game at least a little bit. Okay, who's in the chat? Oh, Ilya's in the chat. Yeah, the author of the proof. Hi, Elias. Hi, Marco as well. So as you see, like, this is a very, very tough field. I thought that the tournament would be open for everybody, so that I didn't intend that, but actually most of you are like so strong. We have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 experts alone, which is like international tournament level. Yeah, so probably we're gonna enjoy some interesting Carcassonne here. Right, we're gonna start with I guess let's just look at the game of our nominal rating leader at first, the Belarusian player with the screen name Chikabom against Vika with a lot of consonants. Oh, actually, also I'm gonna try something else. Let me know what you think if I start doing something like this. So red has a monastery over here, which I think you should be able to see now. I think that should probably be better than a regular mouse pointer, I hope. Yeah, but what else is going on? So the Belarusian player, the rating favorite, has gotten an early lead as a result of completing their monastery, and also they have a bit of a small field over here, but you know, a lot of things still can happen in the game. Green still has a monastery that they can complete if they manage to free up this meeple right here at the bottom. Then they also will manage to get their meeple back and get a few points and probably get back in this game. A lot will depend on this tile. There's only one tile left that fits here, the triple crossroads with a city cap, and if green manages to draw it soon enough, then they will be able to free up their 2 meeples. And also, they would be completing Red City and adding them some points, but it's still going to be worth the 2 meeples for sure. This ruin is likely going to be shared, so it's not going to change the game situation too much. Now this square over here is becoming sensitive, so it will be hard now for green to complete the city, and it looks like they will need to play the game with 1 meeple quite a bit, because one of these tiles that fit in this hole is over here already. So this means that there are just a couple of tiles that green could use. Also, one thing that green could use as well is a splitter tile that would fit over here, I think, quite nicely, because then green gets their meeple back, and also they could block this square just so that nothing fits over here, and then green would get their meeple back, but red would not get their meeple back. So actually there's still about 4 or 5 tiles how a green could mitigate their advantage currently, and which is why red is trying to rid green of meeples altogether. So there are now 2 tiles that fit in this hole altogether, and red is sacrificing potential 2 points from this crossroads just to put the pressure on this square. So as a result of this, green is not able to use this extender tile, and probably they'll need to use this this tile for blocking. Alrighty, let's see what you're writing in the chat. Oh yeah, of course, actually you shouldn't be writing stuff in the chat, because obviously most of you are playing anyway. But yeah, but in case somebody's watching who's not playing, feel free to let me know whose game you'd prefer to watch more. Right, in the meantime, let me just make the screen a little bit larger. What else is happening? Yeah, so now we see the Belarusian player is completing cities, getting an early lead, and look at that, green does get the tile that they need for this city, and they might be reluctant to give points to their opponent, but then they would need meeples for sure. Because they're now shorter meeples, they were not able to score the extra point for this crossroads. However, now they do have a meeple to work with, and there's still a large number of tiles that fit here. Actually, 7 tiles to be precise, so probably green is getting back a meeple soon. And look at that, quite a strong move from the play with the red meeples over here, because what this move does is it blocks the blocking square for this place. And that original plan that I mentioned of green getting the city splitter over here won't work anymore. Well, it could work, but then it won't be as effective because this square over here will still be alive. Now, an excellent tile over here to complete green's city. But it looks like even with that, red's lead is pretty strong now, despite green now attacking this ruin. And also they choose not to save their meeple over here, which is, I think, definitely an oversight. Probably they missed it or something. Instead, they're going for like this huge city, trying to complete it with 2 meeples. Now that I'm looking at it, there's actually still one more tile left that fits over here. In the meantime, what we're going to likely see from green is this connection over here, and probably most of the tiles will be going into this city. So if red wants to secure the game and the victory in this game, probably what they should do is maybe not even bother fighting for the city, but just simply try to block it. That's one way to do it. I probably would have preferred this way, because I think there's still one tile left. Yes, one of these dividers left that could fit over here in that square like this. Alrighty, so I'm gonna see, maybe another game in the meantime if I can. I'm actually going to try to watch 2 games per round, and then maybe we can come back to this one. Wait. Actually, okay, maybe somebody can give me a tip, because I find it difficult with Board Game Arena's interface to find a tournament. Like, I would need to, do many steps to actually do that. All right, well, let's actually look at Ilya's game. So the winner of our farm points challenge. They're in a complicated position, but it looks like they're playing with the red, and they're still ahead. So what do we have over here? Yeah, they're playing against the Spanish player with a screen name Pfeiffer90. So we have a shared roach, which does not matter. We have, I think, the most important feature here is red being ahead on this field fight. Red has 2 meeples, this one and this one, whereas green has, green has nothing, but blue has only 1 meeple over here, and this field is quite sizable with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cities, so it's already worth 15 points. And also green's big problem here is that they do not participate in this game because nobody has green meeples. I don't know why I keep saying this again. But blue's problem in this game is this square over here, which is completely blocked because all the 4 tiles that fit here are already on the board. So here they are. Ah, look at that. So because blue has now the meeple issue, actually red is trying to make sure that blue doesn't see a meeple anytime soon. And this move over here, even though it adds a point to blue, it permanently blocks this meeple because now this meeple can get back only with a monastery of the roads, but one of the monasteries of the road is here and the other one is here, so there actually no road monasteries left in the game at all. And yeah, red even keeps blocking shared features as well, just so that blue doesn't get a meeple back. Red is happy to trap his own meeple as long as blue's meeple is also trapped. That's typically what you do when you are at a meeple advantage. And now blue has a dilemma here, and blue resolves it immediately, and I think the correct way, scoring 4 points, trying to get rid of that point difference. The other option was to place this tile over here and free up 2 meeples, both blues and blues opponents, and it's double-edged. So on one hand, this would be a move that's worth 0 points because, you know, if you're adding a point to yourself and a point to your opponent, you're giving a meeple to yourself and to your opponent, you're not changing much. But having a 2 versus 2 situation in meeples would probably be better for blue than having a 1 versus 1 situation in meeples, because blue's win condition is probably, well, equalizing this field is a must, right? And they need a meeple for that. And maybe their other chance for victory would be actually taking over this field completely, because it's already 18 points and it's only going to grow more. Then there's another 9-point field, and which is why red is perfectly happy to drop their last meeple and do 2 things. One is score 9 points, and second is completely shut down or make it very difficult to enter this field. So there is a connection option over here on the top, and I believe there is still 1 tile that fits over here. Yeah, that does seem to work quite well for blue. But other than that, there's also a field connection from here, but is quite blockable from above or from the side. So it is very, very dangerous to connect. And now a question here. It's a very good question. Does blue even complete this city or not? Because blue needs at least 2 meeples to win. So they can't win if they have only 1 meeple. But at the same time, if they give red a meeple, what are they really accomplishing? I think this move over here with by reds placing their last meeple on a 9-point field and being okay with not scoring any more points was a very strong move. Yeah, sometimes it's okay to drop your last meeple and never get a meeple back, even 20 tiles until the end, if you know that you're getting a lot of points. And blue has chosen an excellent strategy to come back in this game. So look, they had 1 meeple and they pre-built the city without risk, and they actually ended up getting the tile to complete the city. And these 12 points, it is huge, because now I think actually blue has a shot at this. So all they would need to do is equalize this field, which is actually easier said than done, because no matter what, no matter where blue attacks this field from, it will be blockable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I do see one unblockable connection though. So if blue gets something like a crossroads, then they place it like this, and then they hope, and then they drop a meeple. Just draw a little person over here, and they will get the straight line on the left to connect. Well, the sequencing didn't quite work out because they got the straight line now. They can't use it as a connection tile, but these options, there are still these non-zero chances. Now we should also double check if it will even be enough to finish at all. I mean, if it will be enough to connect to the field at all. So blue is at +9, and this 9 is immediately compensated by this 9-point field. And then blue is at +5 because of the road, +4 because of the city, +9, and the monastery is +8. So actually, if we disregard the huge field, blue is in fact ahead by 1 point. So if blue connects to the field in any way, shape, or form, blue wins this game. The problem for blue is I'm not even sure if this is mathematically possible at this stage, and it looks like they may have closed the connection option for themselves with the crossroads that exist there. It's fascinating geometry of this position. Is just so hard to get into that field, and I think this was the last chance. Yeah, so they did get the tile to implement my plan that I was talking about, but it may be too late already at that stage. And also my plan required drawing this one first and drawing the straight line later, and by the time blue drew the triple crossroads, all straight lines to complete this field connection on the left were already gone. So now let's actually see the last tile. Probably blue can score 6 points with this field. If they drop the tile somewhere over here, for example, then this would be one completed city, and this would be another completed city for 6 points. Sorry, I'm just getting so excited that I finally found out how to draw on the screen. So I'm just going to be drawing on the screen all the time. I'm actually not even sure that you can like fully see that. I hope you can. Alrighty. Oh, by the way, I see there's a lot of people watching. It would be a good reminder to meeple the like button and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because all this stuff helps the algorithm quite a bit. Okay, so what's the final score over here? Keep pressing the wrong buttons. Oh yeah, so it's only +7 for red. So actually, I think blue found an excellent solution how to get back into this game with this city over here. Then they just couldn't find an approach to this field, and I don't think there actually was any. So interesting geometry, and red fearlessly dropping their last meeple to score extra 9 points and close down the field just to take advantage of the unusual geometry of the position. So I think round 2 is starting soon. Let's actually look at the results. Chickabomb 1, Claudio 1, Meister 35 1. Aha, so there's a game still in progress, which we are going to look at. Okay, no, I don't think it works like this. I'm just gonna refresh everything. Are there even any games in progress? Yeah, there is one, and I'm supposed to... Okay, there we go. Tungsten Dioxide playing against Mingo. So we saw the Dutch player's submission, actually. He was one of those who managed to score 126 points. But it looks like Mingo is winning some sort of big fields. Okay, let me just try and keep abusing the draw on the screen feature. So we have 1 meeple, 2 meeple. These are cancelled out. We have 1 meeple, 2 meeple. These are cancelled out. Oh no! And actually it's black who is in the field, and blue is still trying to get to the field. So I'm not going to count the tiles, but if there's a tile remaining, then blue ties this, and they probably win the game because they just have more stuff on the board. Actually, both players are getting quite short on time. However, 1 minute and 20 seconds should be enough to make a reasonable move, I think. So probably when in doubt, when you're in time trouble, then if you're not sure, then just take the feature with the most points and pray. So probably this ruin over here is the place to go for black, or just anything as long as they don't lose on time. Also, this makes me remind that I didn't really think of rules, whereas about people losing on time. But hopefully that won't really happen. So what the system allows you, they allow you to actually play down to 1 minute, and then if the game lasts longer than 30 minutes, then you just pause the game and the player who had the least time loses. Yeah, so I'd say let's just BGA take care of all disputes. But well, let's just hope that it won't be necessary and players will think about their time. So it does look that on the last tile, Mingo won the coin flip and was able to connect to the field, which means that they're probably going to win the game because their initial points advantage. So as you see, there was this city which black was not able to complete. That was apparently detrimental for their game. Alrighty, so what's the final score? So -18 for black, and we congratulate Mingo on her first win. Alright, see. I think round 2 is due to start. Yeah, everybody played 1 game. So we have 26 participants remaining. Unfortunately, a couple didn't show up, but that always happens in tournaments. Yeah, I probably should have reminded people, so it's important to cancel your participation in case of not showing up, because Board Game Arena still puts you into a game. Alright, so what do we have? We haven't seen this. So let's have a look at a game that's just starting from round 2. complex versus Sanaki, and it looks like it's going to be a position with a lot of blocking in it, because this square is becoming sensitive and red didn't get any defense. Now, you might think that a good move here would be to fill in this hole and just add a curve, right? That red got here. And I wonder if they do that, but actually I think a much better move is to put this curve like this. Just because if you're getting a curve and putting it over here, this means that you are forcing yourself, you're committing yourself to a starting tile in this square. And two of those are already out, and it kind of ruins the potential of the city to become a profitable ruin. Because, you know, you could like add stuff here and just some nice tiles, make it in a ruin that scores a lot of points. So the real way, I think, how red wants to resolve this sensitive situation is to just wait patiently until they get a tile that fits here first. Like, I don't know, a city with a road. No, even a city without road. Actually, yeah, I think that would be decent. So red can wait for a triangle, and then they just create this monastery spot. And which is why I think red took the stronger choice and continued their road. Yes, in some scenarios you get a lot of meeples blocked, but it doesn't happen always. And even when they do get blocked, all three of them score a reasonable number of points, because when this square is getting filled, this square is getting filled. But yeah, I love positions like this. So already from the start of the game, there is some decision making to be involved. Like this move also over here is not obvious. Probably the play that I like, I mean, is just scoring 2 points. Maybe here is not ideal, or maybe a better move would be just to start a 3-point row, which I think is best. So instead, I think red is giving up on the potential, well, not giving up necessarily, but making it harder for them to complete the city. And they're already starting to build the ruin. Also preparing for an opportunity to pre-build a 4-point road like this next to the monastery. Remember, it's always good to have incomplete features next to your monastery. Okay, let me see if you're writing anything in the chat. Nope, not really. Alrighty, going back. Another interesting position, like, yeah, and then I thought I would do this too, but it was probably tempting for red to just start ruining green city over here perhaps, or, you know, doing something else like this. Yeah, I have to say, red doesn't get easy tiles to play. So now also, it's a shielded tile. I guess you want to start a city with that. I don't think it's the best idea to actually continue over here, although red could do that, but instead they realize that they're down by 10 points, so they are actually continuing to play as efficiently as they possibly can. Normally you want to use shielded tiles for your own unshared, completable cities, and that's exactly what red was trying to do, which is why immediately green sought to connect. And also green is hoping to get a straight line, or at the very least a curve, and trying to complete an 8-point road like this. And if anything, green is only 1 tile away from securing this road. And look at that, they get just the perfect tile. So not only they secure the road, but also they start equalizing or even taking over the city. A big battle is brewing over here. Now some blocking potential, because this tile being out, the quadruple city, it creates a lot of blocking opportunities. So red now starts to put pressure on this square, and as a result of that, green will not be able to complete their road anytime soon, because if they complete their road, then immediately something will block this square over here. So they have to first put a tile over here and then put a curve over here. But probably now red will, I guess, put this straight line like this, trying to exactly commit them to a crossroads. And now this place becomes even more blockable, because once green completes this square becomes vulnerable, and red can start putting pressure over here. For example, blocking this. If you know how to block really well, very often you discover that full blocks are not necessary for a block to be impactful. If you just have your opponent's features entangled closely together like this, if there are a couple of sensitive squares nearby, all you have to do is create these threats of complete blocks and then just wait for your opponent to untangle. So for example, I think it would be a mistake for red to do something like this. Because even though you would be creating a threat to both this square and this square, it would also be possible for green to defend both squares with one tile. I don't know if they get something like a curve like this. So that's why, that's something that Vladimir Kovalev once said in one of his streams, that if you need to block your opponent in two places, very often the best move is to block him nowhere. But that said, blocking won't matter that much, because green looks like they're ahead by just too many points. It will be very hard, I think, for red to compete in this game, and certainly city caps will help. They probably should now score 4 points for this city or for this city. I think the city on the left is better because they're also securing their roads. Another interesting thing that red did is actually they're keeping this city live. And if this city gets completed, it could completely change the game. Okay, now we know for sure that red is not stream sniping. I guess they did not want to complete a city on their opponent's field. I think it's not a concern that I would have necessarily, just because, well, this city is going, like both of these city caps are going to eventually become 4-point cities, so it doesn't matter necessarily where comes first. This is actually quite an annoying move that green made, because it creates a blocking platform or an attacking platform for the city, which is why red is doing everything that they can from to cover up from a possible attack. Here we're probably going to see a 4-point city, or maybe a 4-point city here with an attack on this vulnerable meeple. Multiple options here for green. Let's see what they opt for. They could also finish their road, but this wouldn't be the best move, because this would create a blocking square with tempo. That's why they just go for the regular greedy move and complete this city. The good news for red is that there's still 4 tiles remaining that fit here, and probably as a result of this, red will get their tile back slightly earlier. But the reason I wanted to secure this road we wanted to secure this road spot with this tile earlier, is because red would just would have had more points for the road this way. It would be in like 9 points, I guess. Yeah, and eventually this square will be filled, because whoever wins the coin flip for the so-called evil hamster, they actually will immediately drop the tile here and score 9 quick points. Not obvious situation. What do you do if you're red over here? I think you just continue breaking. I would have probably preferred to move something like this. But they are acknowledging the fact that 1, 2, 3, 4, all starting tiles are out, and it's quite hard to deal with. So they decided to save their city at least somehow. I still think it wasn't maybe the best option, because you see what happens. Like, red is hoping for a triple city with a road, which is understandable, but they need the same stuff here anyway. So if anything, I would probably drop this tile over here instead, and if green were, let's say, to drop something here to block off this square, then green would also be hurting themselves, like if this triple city tile were over here, if you know what I mean. So either red frees up this meeple, or if this meeple gets blocked, in some scenarios this meeple gets blocked as well, and then they become equal. We also see red dropping a farmer over here, which I think is the thing to do, even though they're quite short on meeples. They need to find some way to score big points in order to be back in this game. Some possible win conditions include, well, first of all, winning this coin flip. Second, getting this meeple back. Third, getting this meeple back, the monastery meeple. And then completing this city. So this actually should be more than enough for red to win, or this should be just enough. So now there's a bit of a problem for red, is that even though they sort of save this meeple, they can't really place it where they initially wanted, and so they're now actually forced to complete the road for their opponent. But now all green has to do to secure, I think, the victory in this game is to place the straight line above and drop a farmer. Because then this tile that fits in this hole would join two meeples from green. So yeah, so this plan could have already been implemented by, yeah, so you see they do drop a farmer, but then they sacrifice a couple of points in doing so. And here comes the dilemma, you see, so red isn't instantly dropping this guy over here. Red is also considering this, which they should consider, and red is considering this. And situations like this are the reason why I sometimes not always save my meeples when I can, because this moment is like only a theoretical save. The probability that red is going to find a tile over here and here and here and here and actually finish the city is really, really low. And as a result, you see they end up without meeple anyway. I could be wrong, by the way. Maybe I missed the move. Maybe it was green who placed the tile here, which would make sense. But I think it was red. And also very difficult decision for red, and I'm not sure was the correct move here. So they could place it here and try to join this city. They could place it here and like YOLO it, try to complete this city. But an ideal situation, if you get these tiles first and only then you place the city cap over here, because, well, what you're doing with this move, you're giving your opponent a meeple without any guarantee that you're actually getting to complete this at the bottom. So if anything, if I were red, I would hope for another one of these tiles. I would wait, even though there's only one left to fill in this hole. I'd probably go here. Just because red is behind by so much, they now need to hope for the best outcomes possible. They make another move, which I think is actually really good. So trying to complete their city. Now they're only 2 city caps away, and it becomes completely doable. So now we know that, well, they would have been able to connect to this city, which is a bit unfortunate for them. But yeah, not the easiest position for red in a long time, but for us it's okay because we just get to learn what you can do in a tough position like this. Hi, Afonso. Didn't manage to be time here to participate. Well, sorry to hear that, but, you know, feel free to suggest moves. You can say, you know, if I were to participate, I would play like this and then I would win. Yeah, Elias is just, green is just dropping more farmers and farmers and farmers and farmers. Yeah, that's correct. You gotta maximize your chances. So not meepling the 2-point road, but just meepling this monastery. Right, we'll stay with this game just for a little bit more, because I want to see if this city gets completed or not after all. Oh, no, it won't, because the last city cap has been drawn by green. Now, of course, red is going to take his meeple back. Oh, okay. But also red is super short on time, which is understandable given that they had some tough choices to make. Yeah, and now they do get a meeple back, but probably think green wins here with a big point difference. So what's the end result? Yeah, it's almost plus 50, so congratulations to green for to complex for a confident second round win. I thought this game had a really interesting opening, but yeah, let's now try and have a look who else is still playing. It's unfortunate actually that they don't let you to register late, because you see, I mean, so Priscus here would have missed only one round, but I think the tournament system just won't let them back at all. So that's something for board game we need to be improved, perhaps. Oh, look at that. Let's just have a look at this game. Huh? Yeah. So still 8 tiles remaining, and end game between Pablo BC, I'm pretty sure these are initials, versus Rui Costa. Rui Costa is like was a super famous Portuguese football player. Well, I mean, he's still alive, he just no longer plays football. I'm not sure if there's any relation there. Well, if there is, it's understandable, because both Carcassonne and football have something to do with fields. But here, yellow has monasteries, which probably are enough for them to equalize. But now the field question is a big question, because, well, there's this meeple and this meeple versus this meeple. So actually, red has the majority there. No, blue has the blue doesn't have a stake in this game. Yellow has the majority there, and which is why this red meeple is trying to connect through the outside of the curve, just so that they get in on this field. And so we see some blocking attempt of this connection and a defense attempt, and so on. So I'm not sure if there are even any tiles remaining. Yes, there is a tile. There is, like this one, a city triangle with a curve that would fit over here and complete the connection for red. So a lot in this game will depend on this tile. And now it's a question for yellow. Do they score some quick points? Just a couple of points for the road? Will it make a difference? Do they block the city meeple, perhaps? Or do they recognize that it's impossible for them to win without the field, and then they just try to block? And they went for the latter. Of course, immediate exchange over here. Red blocking the blocking square. So I believe now they are actually just flipping for this tile over here. Also, I forgot that yellow didn't have any meeples, so like, getting 2 quick points was never an option in the first place. Yellow does have these formidable monasteries, and they will give them their points, but it looks to me that this ruin, unless yellow manages to connect to this ruin, which don't look like they will, because, well, this is already the second connection tile. Oh, they will. So yellow not only manages to draw the tile that red needed for the field connection, but also they will manage to connect to their city. And I think this will do it for yellow, just because this farm with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cities and 18 points is just too much. They are, of course, still calculating the remaining tile. Basically, I think what they're checking is whether this connection is safe, whether this really is the only tile that fits here. And it is. So I think maybe this move was a bit of a misstep from Reds, because Reds could have used this tile to add to their city and block yellow from connecting, and then just red could have meepled this field with their next move. So sometimes when your opponent doesn't have any meeples, you actually can be quite patient about meepling features. So you can just wait many turns and only on your last turn meeple the feature. So let's see what the point difference here is going to be. Yes, so in fact, the city didn't make the ruin over here, didn't make that much of a difference, because Rui Costa won with plus 15, which is exactly equal to this big field plus 3 points. So it all really depended on this connection, as both players recognized. Right, well played both in the ending. Oh, as a result of this, we have one more expert in the tournament, because also Yellow was able to cross the 500 threshold after this win. So who else is playing? Or are we already in round 3? We are in round 3. Let's just look. So 7 players with 2 points. Complex, En Passant, Rui Costa, Meister 35, Shading Honey, Claudio Jorquera, and Manarori. Yep. So whom shall we watch? What I've seen. Okay, let's watch this one. Perfect. En Passant versus Shading Honey. I know I'm not gonna watch just the top boards, but we haven't seen these two players yet anyway. At least not on this channel. All right, let me just. Oh, I haven't been checking the chats a little bit. Oh, well, Elias is saying that this one is not Rui Costa, but Rui Acosta. I was pretty sure that, like, A was just stood for a middle name, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so quite a complex position here to analyze. Well, Reds does seem to have a bit of an advantage as a result of this monastery. Even though this monastery is almost blocked, there's still one tile that fits over here, and moreover, if Red does get that tile, they get extra value by taking this 3-point road. Now, the next feature that I see is this 8-point city that's about to be completed. And there are a couple of roads for green. No, actually green is doing reasonably well, and now they get to protect their city and get a 75% chance for completing it. Or they could go greedy, and they do go greedy, trying to equalize this thing. And I think their logic is that they want to have more tiles available to fit in this space. However, you have to be wary that there's still 6 6 curve left, and your opponent can always just take a curve and well, block you completely. Now green is thinking whether to meeple this field. To be honest, that's not the worst idea. No, I would meeple this field, and you see now green, I think, is in a bit of a pickle as a result of this blocked city. And the thing, it's going to be quite costly for them, I think. Also, when you're thinking whether to defend your features or not, you have to think how costly it is for your opponent to block. And in this case, red had to just spend a single curve, so it was a very cheap block for them, denying tons of equity. And they were trying now to trap in a second meeple, which would have been completely fine by me if I were green, because if green were to build this entire road, yes, they would lose a meeple, but the road would score like 10 points. 10 points is a perfect investment for a meeple. Now, actually, we see that probably green should have dropped a farmer over here, because this 9-point field is likely to be gone sometime soon. But that said, even with this blocked meeple, they have plus 22 on the scoreboard. They now control this meeple. They now somehow still have the meeple advantage. And probably if I were green, I would just drop a second monastery over here. It does look like a good board texture to meeple monasteries, especially when you're at 4 meeples. One thing that you can think about is how many meeples you have in hand and how many tiles there are remaining. Of course, it all depends on the situation, but with all conditions being equal, it's good to have tiles times 10 meeples ratio. So this means that if you have 4 meeples and under 40 tiles remaining, it's typically an okay investment to put a meeple on a monastery or on a ruin or somewhere which scores you points, but is unlikely to come back anytime soon. So green chooses this 5-point spot, which is definitely legit. I like to cluster my monasteries together, just because it's so powerful. You get so many extra points from joint squares. But on the other hand, this is quite a remote spot, so green is not gonna get harassed too much for this monastery over here. But I do think that this meeple below is not coming back, like, ever. Just because it's so far away from the action, even though green will get tiles that will make it more helpful to complete them the monastery, something else will occur and they will just end up using their tiles elsewhere. Alright, so what's up in the chat? I guess just a good time to reminder to people that like button, which is important, and subscribe unless you have already, but then you probably are if you're watching the subscribers tournament. I still have to be extra sure. Now, because green has dropped a bunch of field meeples, red is again with the meeple advantage. The meeple advantage is, however, less important than the actual advantage, which green has. And they are trying to connect everything over here, as they should. Red is immediately using his meeples, which I think is wise, to control their monastery. So now green is not able to drop this tile over here. And instead just wisely drops it next to the monastery. It's usually a good decision because it creates a coin flip on board. But because it's next to your monastery, the coin flip is uneven. So either green gets +5 or red gets +3. So if green's the first to get a city cap, they score 4 points for the city and 1 point for the monastery. But if red's the first, then they score 5 points for the city and they lose 1 point for green's monastery. So it's positive expected value in any case for green over here. In the meantime, green's managed to get some important quick points. This 8-point city is just devastating for red here. Which is why they resort to farming, just trying to get some points somewhere. I was wrong, by the way. So somehow green will manage to finish their monasteries. Unless they miraculously don't draw roads, but I think this is the move. Or I guess this also works, but the problem is that you really want to be doing this with a straight line, even though there are only 2 straight lines remaining. Because this connection will pretty much always live, but a curve creates an opportunity to connect through another curve like this, which red is probably going to use. However, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there are only 2 curves remaining, so it's quite a risky connection. I would still try it if I were red. Like, I mean, what do you have to lose? Yeah, green's playing really aggressively here with the scoring, so just taking a 6-point field, eliminating point scoring opportunities from their opponents. So I think now if you're red, yeah, it's okay, but it's only 1 point. Like, red has to risk very hard. I think when you're behind, you have to overcome the psychological barrier. Like, you have to start making moves which don't have the best probabilities, but are high risk, high reward. You got to really focus on that reward, because points difference does not matter in Carcassonne. Only winning and losing matters. And in order to have any chance at winning this game, a red has to come up with something completely crazy. I'm not even sure if red has a mathematical chance of winning this game. They might. Well, at least taking over this field is a must. But it's hard to do anything when your opponent draws monasteries and meeples them. Because there's also another power of the monastery, is that if you're short on meeples, you can always... But if you have an open monastery, you can always add 1 point somewhere. So you don't get rid of actionable moves. And I think, yeah, I like what red did here, kind of going for, you know, the connection through an outside curve. Didn't quite work out because green drew the blocker. But hey, at least it was an honest try. One, two, three, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Okay, so there aren't any curves remaining. So my idea here doesn't quite work anymore. I'm pretty sure they're checking. Yeah, but it's not live, I think. The idea is good, but I just think it's not there. One. Okay, well, let's just do this, yeah? I'm just gonna try and use a bit of fat ink. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh no, there is one more left. Great move, great move. However, all green has to do now is drop a farmer here. Yeah, just drop the monastery here and drop a farmer to simply equalize. But you know, they still have to find the move. So it's a good attempt there by red. We are going to watch the last couple of tiles, and I am thankful for red for playing so quickly, even though I don't know if it served them well. It served us well because we get to see at least one more game in this round, or like half a game or so. And here comes the, oh, not the farmers, they just not gonna bother. They decided they have enough points. And they're just gonna win the coin flip. Sure, that also works. That also works. Well, interesting, actually. They didn't even bother connecting. Oh yeah, these fields they don't have to connect because they're equal. Red takes 5 points, but these are probably not going to be enough. All right, congratulations to En Passant for, well, I guess we could call it an upset rating-wise. And quite a massive point difference there. So who else is playing? Who else is playing? We've already seen Rui Costa. Oh, let's have a look at Meister 35 versus the player with screen name Oh Look Cake, who is actually one of the strongest players in the United Kingdom. And also one of the quickest players, so I'm wondering why they're still playing. Maybe they're in a difficult position, and it looks like they are. All I look at the map and I see yellow, yellow, yellow. Okay, in close positions like these, what I like to look at is who owns the field. First of all, is there a big field? Yes, there is. So this farmer has only 6 points. And then looks like black has control. No, they are tied. So 1, 2, 2, 1. And actually yellow is preparing to take over with their third farmer even. Yeah, so somehow just yellow has loads of farmers. Look, making a defensive move, trying to block the blocking square. Apparently they're still hoping for a curve. But is there a curve? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, there's no curve. But there is monastery with the roads, and it fits there. And yellow does get the field connection, and with that, probably the game, because the field is quite a lot of points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, and then this guy has 6 points. It's just way too many. And even though Black managed to complete a nice long road. It's probably not going to end up mattering. These ruins are roughly equal. Monasteries are roughly equal. Let's say these two are roughly equal. So it's going to be roughly plus 20 for yellow. Another upset rating wise, but I think what they are going to do, so they actually, I think, counting whether there's a city cap remaining, and if there is a city cap remaining, oh, that was the last move anyway. Yeah, so they just took the 2 points, one for the monastery, one for the city. Would have been curious to see how this game developed, how both players ended up with such sizable ruins. Oh yeah, so indeed it's plus 27 for yellow, and that farm did make all the difference. Because if black were to draw the monastery tile, not only yellow would have had 24 fewer points, but black would have probably used the monastery as a quick point tile for a 5-point road or something like this. So that's interesting, actually, that it looks like it was a huge point difference, but the game was really, really close up until the very end. And sometimes there are games which are like 1 or 2 points and you think they're close, but they never are because the win is guaranteed by such a long time. Here, everything was resolved only in the last couple of tiles. Right, who else is playing? Okay, oh, we haven't had a look at... Oh, it's 92%. It's okay, they're gonna almost finish. Oh, yeah, but let's look at the end game. Two very strong players here. I think one of the strongest Chinese players for sure with the screen, and Mitao Cat has a very personal, peculiar style with lots of blocking, but that works out quite well for them. And LSC Daniel Cheng, who had was the second place finisher at the UK Carcassonne Championship this year. Hi David. We looked at one of your games at some point. Well, actually, very recently. Now here, looks like the players has gotten to the end very quickly, so they both have about 5 minutes remaining, and that's quite the time to calculate all the possible options. Red does have a sizable lead on the scoreboard and with this ruin as well. Let's see if the field is enough to counter that, because I do believe that the field belongs to green. Let's just double check. No, it's actually tied. This is tied. This is tied. This is... Oh, it's not even tied. So actually the field belongs to red, and green needs the crossroads to connect through here, and the crossroads is over here. So I know there's sometimes these rare games where you like win both big features, and somehow red managed to pull this off to win both the fields for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 3, 21 points. And also this ruin, which is like at least 15 points or so. Okay, 14. And of course, both players just taking the maximum number of points. Red expanding their field a little bit, and I think that's gonna be it. Yeah, plus 40 for red. And let's just look at the tournament standings real quick. Tournament standing, recent activity. So 3 rounds completed, only only 1 game still going on, I think. And 3 players with 3 points. So it looks like we're not going to be needing a tiebreaker in most likelihood, but you never know. You never know. So Complex, En Passant, Rui Costa, and Meister 35. And actually, we've seen their game, so we might watch somebody else. Okay, let's have a look at this game a little bit. Although, actually, I probably could use a break at some point. I think we already watched Vika once. Okay, how are they doing? Oh, so it's just the last tile. And looks like KIR is going to take this down. I don't see who controls the field. Well, Red does have a massive field, actually a 15-point field that they built with just 1 meeple. But also the result on the scoreboard will probably give them the edge. Yeah, so we can see how green was trying to connect there, but they didn't get the curve. Oh, never mind, it's a different field. It's a different field altogether. And green and red has another field, and plus 34 for red. I do believe this concludes our 3rd round. Okay, whom shall we watch? We've watched Pablo once. We watched Shade and Honey once. We've watched Ilya and Sanaki. Oh, I guess let's wait for this one. For table 4. Perfect, yeah, I didn't think of refreshing. Right, Manor Rory versus Mitaukat. And we will be able to observe it right from the start. Elias is saying last game made me sweat. Understandably so. So should most games. So red has the starting player advantage, whereas yellow will take 4 points for a city quite happily. Probably players are saying something to each other in the chat, which I actually don't see. Maybe you see that. I thought long, like, what's the most appropriate thing to say to somebody in an arena game. And basically my strategy is I just reciprocate whatever my opponent writes me. If they say have fun, I say have fun. If they say good luck, I say good luck. If they say nothing, I say nothing. Well, I'd say that even though yellow is the first to take these quick points and have a lead, red has a nice position because they're the first on the monastery and they have some nice squares here for development, so there's many things we can do. They could start a city, they could drop a farmer, Yeah, so immediately, of course, this threat is being created. But red, actually, what should red do? It's a very good question. So red has multiple options. Farmer, of course, yeah. Red could also try connecting, which is what I like doing. No, this is also definitely good. And the third, the greediest option in the world, is to drop a city cap here and drop a farmer immediately. But I think this is good. This is good. So I like red in this position, especially because they are now able to connect to the city. They could also save this meeple instead, and they're now really thinking about it. But then what's more dangerous? Getting your meeple blocked or your opponent completing an 8-point city? I'm really not sure what the answer is. The advantages of this move are pretty nice because you get to take a nice piece of this city as well. So I like it in that sense. But this move is complex enough to actually be worth some thought. And as we see, now I like yellow more after this position because this is such a huge tile for them, adding them 2 points but potentially 4 points and also securing their city. So they should not be, yeah, that's a very good move. So not adding any points to this city, just staying put there, but trying to tie the bigger city, which they now successfully did. And if anything, so in this kind of mini battle, I'd say yellow has prevailed a little bit because for this tie, they invested less, how do I say this, less lucrative tiles. And now that red managed to complete their city, yellow managed to complete their city, they have a sizable lead now. Ever saying if they insult you, you insult them. No, actually, I never insult my opponent. I think not even once. Probably the closest what I did to insult was like when somebody's really complains a lot about luck, and I sometimes point out them the actual probabilities of the thing, and which is, you know, very often it means that they actually were being lucky and they thought they were being unlucky. But most of the time I don't even bother that. Like for insults, I just report them. And you'd be surprised. Like, I mean, I think BGA is generally good because, like, it's non-toxic. People generally don't rage quit. People generally don't insult you. But like once in a while, I still remember like a sometimes high caliber players who like on national teams and stuff would like write actual insults, and I'm thinking like, what are you doing? Like you're an adult man with kids. It's like well, anyway, that's just the internet. That's just how it is. Try not to think about it too seriously. Now I think in this position, yes, this is a very strong move that yellow oh, not that. No, not that. Not that at all. No. Okay, I mean it's okay. It's okay. Like it's a tied field and everything. But the strong move was to just take 2 points because this field will be, as a result of this addition, completely encapsulated. And yes, 9 points per meeple is a good investment, but it's like it's nothing crazy. You can allow your opponent to have that because eventually this meeple investment will bring yellow 7 points. I'm not sure if it's a good investment to bring a meeple for 7 points, because why I'm saying 7 points, it's 9 minus the 2 sacrificed points. So if anything, I'd probably prefer to take the 2 points and then just place the meeple elsewhere, saying that I will be able to collect 7 or more points to sort of eventually equalize this field through other means, with this meeple elsewhere. So for example, it's quite easy. Let's say had yellow drawn this tile, they would have put it over here, and then maybe like they make an 8-point monastery, and then they get blocked, let's say. So as a result, with this meeple, yellow would have scored 2 points here, and let's say 8 points here. And this would have been 10, which is more than 9 points of this meeple. This is actually something I haven't talked a lot about in my videos, maybe I should. So when you fight for features, you can equalize them indirectly. So you can just, instead of fighting for that feature, you can take the equivalent number of points for another feature. And it works like a charm. Now, if I'm yellow, I probably meeple this monastery over here and then just control these 2 squares. Maybe I also try to meeple this here and maybe like place a tile that saves this square and let's say attacks these squares. And let's say if we place a monastery over here, then our opponent blocks this square with a triple city or something. But then if our opponent places a triple city to block this square, then we block us together. And we just ended up having an equal position here. But you know, yellow has the meeple advantage, so it benefits them to have these kind of situations. Also, one of the reasons yellow can't really do much of anything else. Also, look at that, this road potential. Like, don't discount red for this game. Because red could score an ungodly number of points if this road is unchecked. I do like this meeple though, because it does all kinds of things. Yeah, and now red gets the tile they were waiting for this all the time, trying to create this dangerous situation, because suddenly if red gets the tile that they need, then they just win. And there's still 2 city caps with the crossroads. There's still 2 of those, and there are still 3 other city caps like facing the other way. So it's actually huge. And now the city is almost unblockable, but look at that. So now, yep, yellow gets the much needed tile to tie for the city. There's still 3 tiles that left here for that hole, like the triangle or Dorito with a road. But as I said about this road, it all comes at a cost. So now yellow was forced to add points to red. And it does seem to me that just a couple more, just here and here, and then they will have everything complete. But instead, red chooses to secure the road first, precisely because of that. They will, I assume they will now do this. At least that makes sense to me, scoring a very large number of points. And look at that, red is coming back massively. So I told you, don't discount red. This monastery turned out to be a pretty good investment, because still yellow is quite likely to take it back. There's still 2 tiles that fit over here, and these will give yellow extra points for the road. Well, now, of course, yellow will equalize this city. Oh, interesting. So actually, yellow is now getting greedy, which it's kind of risky, but I like it. So they're saying, you know what? There are 3 more tiles that fit here. I'm gonna do it later. I'm gonna wait for one which doesn't have a shield on it. it's extra greedy. And then when they get the same type of shield when it's not on it, the same type of tile without shield, then they're going to put it over here. The problem though with this approach, I mean, I like it, but there is a trade-off, because you are relinquishing like 12% equity for the game. Because 1 in 8 games, you don't get to fill this hole at all, and then you just lose. Because you have, what, 8 points for the monastery, 1 point for the city. It's 9 with 2 meeples versus 10 points for this ruin by red. Oops, I wasn't trying. Yeah, so 8 points here, 1 point here, versus 10 points for this ruin by red. So actually, like, with just 1 meeple, so it's not even a mini battle. It's like a huge advantage. And Yellow decides, you know, they have a huge city of their own. Yellow in some scenarios could have considered a move maybe like this, sort of blocking themselves, perhaps, but also blocking 2 meeples of their opponents. I do feel that a high portion of the time, yeah, they do something exactly like this, and then red is the favorite to draw a straight line, and then this line is getting blocked. That said, though, it's just they're 1 tile away from such a huge city. I guess just do it and wait for it. Okay. Oh, I just forgot whose move it was. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, of course red did the block, because they can't afford, you know, to lose the city. I just for some reason thought that yellow self-blocked them, which they wouldn't do. Probably we're gonna see some quick points from red. This game is actually getting really close. I'm not sure who is ahead. All I know is that red is ahead on meeples. Actually, red's probably still ahead. They have 1 extra monastery, but they are missing a big ruin. They have an extra field. But the thing that they're lacking is time. So red has a huge time disadvantage. Will 5 minutes be enough to close out the game? Maybe. Oh, I know what they're considering now. Yes. Farmer? Road? Okay, just city. Just the greedy way. I think it makes sense that they didn't drop a farmer, because, you know, yellow has only 1 meeple anyway. And they need the meeple to do stuff precisely like this. Probably yellow can't do that much until they get a meeple back. Also, speaking of getting meeples back, when is that happening? Well, maybe when this connection is complete? Maybe when this city is complete, which is still possible. And with their existing meeple, yellow probably wants to get a curve so that they get 6 points plus equalize the fields. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 curves remaining to fit over here. But they don't get them. Kind of feels like you have to do this, yeah, exactly, because yellow is too much behind. to just, you know, give away a field like that. Red now starts a field attack, which is at the same time an attack on this square. I don't think this square is live anymore in any case, which is why they don't even bother blocking. Well, I guess there is this one extra point that they can make, but since there are no splitters in play, there isn't just too much that yellow can do. Possibly they just can take one extra point over here and then try to block this square. Actually, that would make sense. 2 extra points. And then just hope that, you know, their opponent does not get a city cap or something. Or that they first get a curve and then they get a city cap or something like this. So they decided to prevent a city completion after all. Now, of course, we're going to see this equalization here and finally this meeple being joined into the field, but at what cost? So just to get those 7 points, this lonely guy was waiting for a long time. Look, by the way, the move here was completely justified and a bit of a miss. Ah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was wondering why red turned it that way, because they were actually risking these fields getting connected together, and oh no, that makes sense, because actually there was yeah, they wanted these fields to connect it together because there wasn't any farmer on this field. Yeah, that was my bad. I think red has it, but I'm not sure. Actually, it looks like I'm wrong. Shall I refresh? No, I'm just gonna wait it out. Oh yeah, red has it, but like by like 2 points or so. Okay, by 5 points, but it was super interesting, close game. And even though yellow was actually trying really hard, so I think this was a really strong move over here, preventing red from just winning the game outright with these 8-point cities. It was just not enough, and the meeple advantage eventually was the thing that made the difference. And actually, look at that. So 2 points for this lonely guy and 9 points for this field. And this is where the point difference comes from direct mini battles like this. At the start of the game, there was interesting imbalance, this monastery versus this city. And then red managed to create a big threat of completing their city, which forced yellow into trying to equalize for that city. And as a side effect, this road for red was built, for which they scored like 7 points. So it was always threat after threat after threat, and red eventually managed to capitalize on that. Congratulations to Mitao Cat, and actually I think it's quite late where they are. So they're still playing despite that. Wait, how do we go back? Okay. So this is where I could need your help, because like now I will need to look for tournaments, and it will take me a few extra seconds. And then I... What? Okay. In progress. So, who else is playing? Many games finished. Okay. Oh, I haven't seen Edgar Townsend yet. So let's just have a look real quick. Even though it says 96% complete, maybe we get to see some interesting ending. No, not real. We just get to see the last tile. And looks like black is taking it down just with my intuition and the fact that they're ahead on the board by so much. They have a couple extra monasteries. Ruins are roughly equal. They are losing a field, but the field is not too big. So blue scored 4 points, which is the maximum that they could do in that situation. And as a result, black Edgar won almost plus 20. So I think at least at this stage we have seen... No, we haven't seen everyone. Yeah, we haven't seen everyone, but we have like seen almost everyone. Okay, there are 2 more games going on. Oh, David is saying there's a link to a tournament on my front page. Yeah, of course, I am exactly the person to miss that sort of thing. Thank you so much. All right, I guess it's table 1. Oh, nope, never mind. Who else do we have? Anything? You said link to the tournament on front page. Okay. Really? Ah, okay, but that's only by accident, I think. Okay, cool. Who else is playing? Finished. In progress. Perfect. So, tungsten dioxide's playing against Vikalata Consonant. And there's still only 1 tile left. Now looks like... is this game where red is doing pretty well? I just see this city. And that's about to get completed. There aren't really any big fields. They do have this monastery. Red has a nice 6-point road and a 6-point field. It's going to give them a lot of points. However, there's this ruin as well. Oh, and yeah, it's completely lights out because red won the coin flip for actually finishing this city, which is likely what they're going to do, and they're going to win and even drop another farmer. I think red was still ahead despite that. Kind of interesting to... It would have been interesting to see how this city came about. Also, probably a big part was this, the fact that black was not able to complete their city over here. And yeah, and red by plus 20, and I think it would have been enough even had they not finished this big city, because the ruin was giving about half the points for that. All right, congratulations to Vika with lots of consonants. And we're gonna watch the final round. Who's playing En Passant versus Complex? Okay, I guess we have to watch that. I mean, it's just literally for the first place, so it's pretty important. I think I haven't seen a couple of players, but we'll catch up on the other games in a little bit later time. Also, no tiebreaker will be necessary. Because even if these players will finish in a draw, we'll just go by international rules and say that whoever was not the starting player wins this. I just hope it's not a draw. Just don't make it this close. Just somebody win. But make it a little bit close, you know, so that it's interesting to watch. Let's see, well, en passant with the green meeples is the first to draw the monastery, which definitely gives him a slight advantage here. I think I would have preferred it one square to the right, but, you know, it's a very small difference. And they also get a nice piece off this city over here, well, which is pretty big. So they are actually getting more and more into their advantage. Another decent tile for green. It's a risky meeple over here, this guy, but I think it's necessary just because like you have to meeple stuff at the start of the game. It's risky because if red draws a curve, then it could plow right here into this unfillable hole and get blocked. But even if that happens, it doesn't really matter because these two monasteries are like such a huge advantage. So now, if red wants to come back into this game and we're really in that territory, so what they should do, I'll show you. Okay, I'll show you. So they need to draw something like this. And they need to put it over here. By they, I mean red. So why do you build up your opponent's monasteries? Is because you want to control two opponents with one meeple. So, or if they get like a triple city or something, they should put it over here, put one meeple, try to build a ruin around the monasteries. That's the only really reliable effect how I found you can mitigate the huge advantage that your opponent gets from placing two monasteries together like this. Actually, that's a tactic I learned from the Ukrainian player Kirill Manikov with the screen image here. So yeah, let's see if they find this. I really think that they should go, well, okay, this also works, but I really think they should have like gone next to the monasteries and just tried to bother them. Interestingly, it's not that bad on the board, actually. And now that red gets a monastery on their own, the game is sort of equal, but now this goes over here, meeples goes over here, and it's very, very hard, I think, for red now. Especially once they're forced into playing this tile. Yeah. I don't know, I guess green can quite freely... It's not obvious actually what green should do. Maybe they just go here and simply drop the city caps and leave them alone. Another move that could be okay is going here and meepling a city cap. There is a problem though that you're leaving a 6-point city potentially up for grabs, but like mathematically you're getting really good chances here because you actually are more likely to finish your own little city that you're gonna get over here rather than getting this. And you see now green is thinking which city exactly to meeple. Oh, so they're going the risky way. Okay. I think red could have made green hurt a little bit more here. Like if red were to do something like, I don't know. Yeah, check this out. So if red were to place this tile over here and create a hole and then like build up a ruin over here and win this mini battle, I think that was the idea. Oh, so by the way, red actually found a good solution here, trying to block the monasteries maybe get some compensation, but it looks like it was a little bit too late. So again, when your opponent has to have 2 monastery, yes, you can either complain that you are being unlucky and your opponent's being lucky, but also you can play aggressively and try to mitigate this damage. I still think the position for red is completely playable, just because they still have the advantage in the mini battle over here. Green has a variety of options now. Probably my favorite one is just to continue the monastery. They could also try to untangle over here, but there's still a sufficient number of tiles to do that. Or they could even drop a curve over here, try to prevent a red takeover of the city. I wouldn't be worried about the takeover too much, just because like when you're ahead, you can just simply rack up more points, and if your opponent starts accumulating points at a slightly higher ratio, like if they win a city or two, then you can still win eventually. Now we are in the middle game, and what I see is that nobody has claimed the field. So a move, let's say going here and dropping a farmer could definitely work out, or starting to build a 4-point road, or just simply finishing these monasteries. They're all quite fine moves. But the fact that we haven't seen any farms is due to the fact that we haven't seen many city caps. And the fact that we haven't seen many city caps is due to the fact that they're all still in the deck. So this means that they're still coming later, and you know, we're going to see like a 21-point farm suddenly close to the end of the game. So this is very often the situation that even if a position seems closed, it opens up towards the end at least somewhat, just like in chess, very often. So all that's necessary is some time, because remember, all of the tiles will eventually be played. And now Complex here is creating a threat. It's sort of a double threat. It's a move with multiple possible positive outcomes for red. Maybe sometimes they just put 2 city caps and take a city with 8 points, and then have a 2 versus 1 advantage in this mini battle. It's 1 point difference only, but you know, it's better than 0. Or in some scenarios they drop a city cap over here, and then suddenly they connect and gobble up this city altogether. And this is exactly what they're trying to do. It's not a straightforward way to see how to deal with this. I think because green is ahead, they just want to play it safely and place this tile over here, maybe place some meeple on it too. And then there are some outs how you connect this, and then you can like connect over here through the outside and even win this city. Or in another scenario, just simply build up this city to 6 points for the purposes of getting a meeple back and maintain equality in this node over here. So they go for the safer route. The alternative route would be to just add this tile over here and try to block everything, but it's not exactly the wisest decision. So if I'm green here, I don't think I'm ever bothering with trying to win this city outright, because this square is still vulnerable. It's actually blockable completely. But red does want, actually green does want to keep this dream alive. And that's why they're blocking the blocking square, and they're thinking of getting some triangles and sneaking in around. It's a double-edged move that red just did. On one hand, it creates an attacking platform for red over here to try to attack or block this spot. On the other hand, it makes this square unblockable because it completely obstructs the blocking square. Like, blocking the blocking square is sometimes an underrated tactic in Carcassonne. You can really accomplish with that. And sometimes even by blocking the blocking square for the blocking square. But maybe in one of the futures videos we can touch upon that. Hi, Vinilessa. Of course, rooting for the Brazilian player. Well, for me, either way, it turns out that I will be sending my Carcassonne set to somewhere in the Western Hemisphere. But that's okay, I signed up for that. Strong move over here from Red, really cementing this mini battle. And actually, as you see, Green was about to escape from here, but instead they're forced to... Well, it's not a bad tile anyway, they just take 4 points, right? So they can't really complain about that ever. And now they... no, I don't think that's the best move. I think the way better move was going here. So I think it's probably the first misstep here from the player with the green meeples, but they're still doing well enough. Because, yeah, they're tying the city, but now... What exactly do we do? You can't really go here, can you? Because they still want to eat the city up, but with a sizable number of triangles out, they aren't actually getting the best odds, and I believe there are only 2 triangles remaining. One for here, one for here. So let's see if something like this will just get yellow back in the game. No, it won't, because yellow is not in the game at all. Yellow's commenting. But it could get red back in the game. Now, this piece of city is technically still live, but it's still quite hard to actually... free up this meeple, and even if they manage to do so, it will take some time. That said, triangles weren't the only tiles that are suitable for a connection. There are also triple cities, and there are a couple triple cities remaining, which is why I'm pretty sure that Green's considering this move. I think it would work quite alright to sort of, you drop a tile over here. You see, it would have worked, because now there are only 2 tiles that fit here. And the big problem for Green is now they can't really meeple a lot of stuff. So now, like, actually, what do you do with... Well, actually, okay, it's obvious what you do. You just, I guess, take 1 point and secure the city. It's not even 1 point, but you secure the city, and you still have the 75% chance of connection over here, which would probably secure the win for Green, which probably should mean that Red should go blocking over here. A huge time advantage for Red, and also Red draws one of the tiles that was necessary for Green for connection over here. can't help it. I have to have the graphic up top. Hi Edgar, you finished the tournament because your rival retired in the last match. Oh, got it. So you finished early. Alrighty, appreciate the kind words. So we're now looking at the finals of the finals. Oh, and Red's now turned it around because the tile that I was talking about doesn't matter anymore because this spot here is completely blocked, and originally Green's plan didn't work out of connecting that city. So I guess I'm gonna just turn that off. Now, technically Green is still ahead, but they're one meeple down, and with one meeple it's a difference that quite easily can be overcome. And also they're losing in a mini battle over here. So it seems to me that Green can it just hope to win with maybe some quick points, but there aren't too many quick point tiles remaining as I see. And then what could happen is that, let's say, so say Red drops a farmer here, Green drops a farmer somewhere here, they're tied, but Red just goes for more aggressive scoring, and if Red completes this city over here, then Red wins for sure. But Green did draw one of the city caps that Red would need for that. What do? Do they try to block? Do they drop a farmer? Do they just try to do the same over here? Like take this city and say, you know what, I'm just gonna take yours. It does seem to me that dropping the city cap someplace empty would make sense. I'm not sure how many city caps there are remaining, but it looks like there are some still. So they already drop the farmer. How are they hoping to get the meeple back? Maybe they aren't. Maybe they just want to make sure that their opponent cannot drop a farmer. And then they're going to try to do something like this, right? Yeah, for sure. Trying to take away some tiles from their opponent. Oh, no. That's a bit unfortunate for them, because as a result of this block, they would have prevented Red from completing the city, but now, well, Red in all likelihood will drop a farmer. They have time to calculate whether they need to do so, but it would just be a reasonable prophylactic move. But also they see the time advantage that Red has over Green has made a great difference, because I think like Green made really strong moves in the first half of the game, but then towards the end they just didn't have time to calculate whether there were city caps remaining and what kind of city caps there were remaining. So that's something to be thought about, is time management. Just like in chess, you're gonna have some sort of balance between the opening endgame and middle game. So Red was now being precise. They calculated that they actually don't have any field connection tiles. And they get to the last city cap, and with that they score quite a juicy road. And I think all the game Green was leading by so much, and then just Red takes it, turns it around, blocks Green's meeple, and wins with something like plus 15. Let's actually double check if that's indeed the case. Oh, did I maybe overestimate? No, I think it should be like plus 12. Oh, plus 9. Okay, so it's actually really close. And it probably turns out that this city over here was decisive. And also, I think earlier this block, of course, did an important thing, and it seemed to me that Green did have the chance to try and abandon the idea and like connect over here. It's an interesting phenomenon, though, that sometimes in Carcassonne you kind of got to make flexible moves and then sometimes change your plans completely. But psychologically, it can be a little bit difficult because you've already been planning one thing and then you've been imagining certain moves. But then when situation changes and you got to do a different move, it's just sometimes harder to recognize. Well, anyway, great comeback from Complex, and yeah, congratulations on winning the tournament. So this goes to the Western Hemisphere, and congratulations for to En Passant for the second place in the tournament, and a great tournament performance overall. Alrighty. That 4CCCC made me so nervous. Elias, whose complex is saying that, referring to an earlier move where they were actually forced to put a quadruple city tile and to their own city, making it harder for themselves to complete and so on. Alrighty, but let's have a look if somebody else is playing still. So Elias first, En Passant second, Claudio and Edgar and Clavier are 3, 4, 5. Unfortunately, we didn't see any of Clavier's games, but in the Portuguese duel, Clavier prevailed. Finished. In progress. Okay, so we have 2 games left, and I think we haven't seen... okay, so we haven't seen any games by Bikuda over here. Let's actually just look at this one. Oh yeah, and of course for both Ilya, who won the farm scoring challenge, and Elias, who won the subscribers tournaments, just contact me either through the email or Board Game Arena about the delivery. Alright, so we have an endgame here already, and red is ahead on the scoreboard. However, it looks like blue has many points on the board, and also blue has at least 1 meeple. No, red has the meeple. So actually that's his. Blue has monastery over here. Blue has a monastery over here. Blue has a huge ruin over here. And blue has a decent road, actually, which may no longer be live because all the triple crossroads already have been out. But it looks like blue does have the advantage mainly because of the field, which is why red is sacrificing her last meeple and trying to join, which makes sense. This field is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cities, so 15 points. But then let's count up. Let's see what's happening over here point-wise. So red is at +4, +9, then -14, that's -5, +3, that's +2, then -5 again, that's -8, and then there are these ruins, which I think are roughly equal. So it looks like blue... Oh, no, wait, -8, -13, but then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so interesting. If red successfully connects to this field, then red and blue will be completely tied. Now, of course, blue gets an extra point, but red should also be able to get an extra point right here. The thing that will probably make blue win, in all likelihood, is that they are only one road away from getting back their meeple. However, red has also a meeple over here that could potentially come back into their hands, and this would likely solve the game for red. But I wonder if there are still any tiles remaining that fit there, and I don't think there are, at least directly, because all starting tiles are out. Are they? No. No, yes, they are. So no more starting tiles, no more cities with the crossroads, and no more these guys. However, there's nope, there's really nothing that fits here. Interestingly, so it's just all about getting extra points. This was also one more tile that red needed to connect over here. Probably what red could do in this situation is go over here, which would put them at +1 in the event of connection. It is, however, a good question whether red even has tiles remaining that go here and can complete this connection. I do believe that there is at least one, because one of the monasteries is working. And also this was a potential tile. So probably red's going to put the monastery over here, which will put them at +1. But if blue gets any road, then yeah, then they are tied and they are right back in the game, and all they need to do is just score anything with any tile. So that's actually, yeah, that's quite interesting here. Whoa, wait a second. Oh, it's going to be so close, because what red can do now is that they can take their meeple back, give back a meeple to their opponent, and then it will be completely tied if I calculate the points correctly. And they will just be flipping for the last tile, you know, whichever is the most lucrative. So they did just that. Oh man, oh, that's such a fascinating ending for here. Okay, so the straight line for blue, which they're probably going to put here, it will put them at +4. And then the question is, what does red get? This all works, by the way, provided, disclaimer, this all works provided I calculated the points correctly. And looks like red loses the coin flip over here, because the only thing that red can do is score 3 points for this field. And as a result, I think blue will win this game at +1. Fascinating. On a coin flip, of course. Yep, here comes the farmer. And let's see if I was correct at all or not. Maybe I like miscounted the shield or so. But I think this is the actual result. Well, what an endgame. Pablo from Argentina saying, thank you for organizing the tournament. Cheers, thank you for participating. Appreciate that. Well, let's just wait for the suspense. Oh no, is it completely tied? I think it's tied. Yeah, so actually I miscounted the points. I miscounted like one shield or so, and it still was a tie on a coin flip. Yeah, because blue was able to get 4 points on their last move, and red was able to get 3 points. Okay, oh, that's Fascinating ending. Yeah, congratulations for both players for recognizing their win conditions, going for that, and giving us this entertaining endgame. So, who else is playing? Finished. Alrighty, so let's have a look at the complete results. Yeah, unfortunately, only 18 players survived until the end, but that's okay. Everybody who survived had at least one win, which is nice. Of course, a couple of players with... I think we just witnessed literally the only tie in the entire tournament between Bikuro 56 and Vika the Consonants. Mingo and Kazlo, 12-5 for LSC, now top 10. Lots of players with 3 points, ever. Pablo, BC, Mana, Rory, Mitao Cat, Rui, Costa. And tied for second, several players with 4 points, En Passant, Claudia Jorquera, Edgar Townsend, and Clavier. And our winner without any losses, Elias, or Complex V and H. Righty, thank you very much everybody for participating. Hope it was fun. I guess we can repeat something like this. I don't know, when you tell 700, well actually technically 679 of your friends to start watching this channel and subscribe and stuff. Also, I would need some advice, because this was my second giveaway and I kind of couldn't really find anything better than these 20-year edition Carcassonne sets. So probably next time I should be giving away something else. If you have any ideas what would be nice but preferably have some relation to Carcassonne, then let me know, and we can think of that for the next tournament. Hi Sanaki. Who else is joining us? Well, anyway, if you have any good ideas for like challenges, giveaway and stuff, Vika is asking next tournament at 1K. Yeah, kind of that is the plan. So it's up to you how soon we can do this. Cheers, thanks, Ilya. Alrighty, if you have any good ideas, drop me a message or write a comment. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.